NXT starts off with Ridge Holland versus Tony D'Angelo for the North American Championship. Towards during his match, actually, I was finna forget what actually happened in his match. Sean Spears was out there. He ends up interfering in the match, trying to cost in the match. Then you end up getting Brooks and Nico. They come out. They end up attacking the family. They end up attacking Channing Stacks and Luca Crucifino. But then you end up getting Izzy Dame. She comes in, ends up attacking Ridge Holland, which allowed Tony D'Angelo to pick up the victory. I was extremely confused on why this ended up happening, but then I ended up realizing why. Why? Well, the reasoning is dumb. I'm actually finna go on a rant here, because the reasoning is stupid. But because afterwards she ended up saying that we're even. Izzy Day ends up telling Tony D'Angelo that now we're even. Basically, last week I didn't cover it because I didn't think it was a reason to cover it. But last week Sean Spears keeps on trying to recruit Izzy Dane, but she's basically refusing. Tony D'Angelo basically came in the aid of her, basically on the side of Izzy Dane, basically saying that look, Sean Spears need to leave it alone, and stop trying to, recruit her. But Izzy Dane in the segment kind of like brushed it off. So I don't understand why does she help Tony D'Angelo when in the segment she basically brushed it off like she didn't really care for Tony. So I don't understand that. Number two, I don't understand how that's a good enough reason for that's not a good enough reason for Izzy Dame to want to do that. Like I don't understand. It doesn't make sense for Izzy Dame to want to help Tony D'Angelo at all. I don't understand what the end goal is there. Also, this whole Sean Spears recruitment thing needs to stop, especially with the people he's recruiting. Because he's been trying to recruit Gigi Dolan, he's been trying to recruit Izzy Dame. First of all, he's been doing this since he first got to NXT. But Sean Spears is basically a worse version of Karrion Kross and a less effective version of Karrion Kross. He's basically a worse Karrion Kross, which sounds like an insult, but I'm not trying to make it sound like an insult, but that's basically what he is. But the thing is, Sean Spears typically is most effective. Well, actually, logically, yeah. He's the most effective when he's going after people who are insecure, who are constantly doubting themselves. A perfect example is Brooks Jensen, a guy who lost his best friends, who, they broke away from being a group with Fallon Henley and Josh Briggs. He was lost without them. And then he ends up, joining Sean Spears eventually. Same thing with Ridge Holland. So I don't understand why, because every other person he has tried to recruit has not worked. It only worked with people that have felt some type of insecurity or who have actually been lost, who have no direction. Izzy Dame is not that. She is one of the most arrogant and cocky people on your roster. So it doesn't make sense to go after her. And it doesn't make sense to go after Gigi. So I don't understand why they keep forcing it. If anything, if they wanted to recruit a female with Sean Spears, that would have made logical sense. Even though I'm glad they didn't go this direction, Tatum Paxley was right there. Well, before Shotzi and Gigi came along, you could have easily told a story with Tatum Paxley, especially with Tatum Paxley freaking out, not having any friends, being an outsider, not having Lyra by her side, not being what I'm saying, playing. You could have easily done that. That would have made more sense with her being insecure, her being lonely. That would have made more sense. But no, you keep having him go after the most confident and arrogant people on the roster that have no shot. I have no confidence in this story because this story is stupid, if I'm being honest, and it makes no sense. Because it doesn't make sense for Izzy Dame to all of a sudden help Tony D'Angelo after that one segment, which I don't think that segment was that big of a deal, but apparently it was. And Sean Spears' recruitment, I don't understand it. I have no hope for this. I genuinely don't. I'm going to move on because this story is just ridiculous in my opinion. Afterwards, when again Bayley, she comes out. She basically addresses what happened with Roxanne Perez, mentioning Roxanne Perez on SmackDown and Raw, being there watching her matches. Then you end up getting I think Giulia ends up, yeah. She ends up mentioning before Giulia comes out actually. She was mentioning, Roxanne Perez, that maybe she's not ready for the main roster, and start mentioning the other women on the roster. Then she mentions Giulia's name, which allowed Giulia to come out. Then Giulia comes out. She basically ends up, I'm just gonna be honest. They just start sucking each other off. If I'm just being honest, they just start praising each other, going back and forth. Then you get Roxanne Perez. She comes out to sum it all up, because Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade came out together. They was trying to talk, but basically while they was talking, they was getting booed like crazy, so it was kind of hard to hear. But basically, they was basically saying that Bayley is putting on an act. She doesn't really care about NXT. That she's just basically pretending like she's trying to be this mentor, and that her time is up, and that the real reason why she's here is because she wants to be NXT champion in the best women's division, and that basically that yeah, I think that basically sums it up. I don't think I need to go that much further. Then they end up brawling, and then that's the end of the segment there. Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. Um, I really don't like this direction, mainly because I really just wanted Roxanne and Bayley to feud. I really don't understand the addition of Core Jade and Giulia. Now, I understand why they put Giulia in this match. I honestly do. Now, next week is the main show, because this week's show was not that good. I'm just going to be honest. This show was very mid. Next week is the main show. They're really building up that show for whatever reason. Don't know why, but they're really building up next week. The main reason why they put Giulia in this is very obvious. They don't have nothing for Giulia. I'm just gonna be honest. They just don't, because who is she gonna face? Like, she has no one to face for her NXT championship. It's a reason why she's barely been featured on the show since winning the championship. They have no plans for her, so they put her in this. Look, long as we get the end goal, which I'm assuming is a Bayley and Roxanne match, I'm fine. It's just that the way they're going about it, I'm not really enjoying it, to be honest with you. The initial promo that they had was great. This wasn't as good, but to be fair, it was partly because of the crowd. The crowd kind of ruined this promo because they was just booing Roxanne and Cora Jade like crazy, which is actually kind of wild. I understand that Roxanne's the heel, but it kind of ruined the promo the way they was booing her. They was booing her way too much. Like, it made the promo sound worse than it was. The promo was actually decent, but the crowd kind of messed it up in my opinion. I have hopes for this feud, but gonna be honest, adding Cora Jade and Giulia, I'm not really feeling it. I'm just gonna be honest, I'm not really feeling it. Afterwards, we end up getting a Wesley Dion segment. Well, this actually happened earlier in the show, but this transition into the next match I'm going to discuss. Wesley Dion ended up having a segment. Wesley was basically talking trash to Dion. They go back and forth, which leads to a match. But then this also leads to Trick Williams entering the room. Wesley started talking about Trick Williams being a former champion, but Trick Williams wasn't tolerating any of that and immediately slapped Wesley, and that ended the segment there. This transition to the match. Wesley ends up beating Dion fairly easily, but then Wesley gets on the microphone, calls out Trick Williams. Trick Williams comes out and immediately takes out Wesley, and they're going to have a match next week. They really stacking up next week's show. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say this, I'm going to keep saying this. This should have happened for the NXT title. I don't understand why. This should have happened a lot sooner than it did. I'm just going to be honest with you. Look, this should have happened way sooner. I have no hopes for this match. The match should be good, but this match should have happened way sooner. This should have happened for the NXT title. I'm sorry. Like, you could have easily had this for the NXT title, especially over Ridge Holland. And I like Ridge Holland, but you tell me that Wesley couldn't get an NXT title shot, but Ridge Holland got it. Like, I don't understand it. I don't know what they're doing, Wesley. I like the idea of this feud. It's just that I kind of know where this is going, especially based off the main event. I just don't understand how someone like Wesley is booked in no man's land, where he was the longest reigning NXT North American Championship before Obafemi, and now he's just doing nothing. And he's with a faction which has potential, but I have no hope in that faction based on the booking. So I hope I can be proven wrong, but I just feel like this feud should have been happened, in my opinion. I feel like now it's just kind of like, why? Like, why? After this, we end up getting Lexis King versus Charlie Dempsey. Throughout this match, they was trying to tell the story, is Lexis King going to use the brass knuckles? Because he ended up having brass knuckles inside like this bucket, which I'm very confused by, because he had no one in his corner. So if he had no one in his corner, I'm assuming that he brought that bucket out himself. So if he brought that out himself, why would he have brass knuckles in it? Unless someone else brought it out for him and they put it there, which I'm confused by that. But basically, they kept telling the story, will he use the brass knuckles? But then towards the end of the match, the referee's in the corner, because Charlie Dempsey and Lexis King like holding each other. They're going to the corner, but the referee is also going to the corner as well. He's not seeing what's happening, and Lexis King ends up hitting a low blow, hits his finisher, picks up the victory. Very confused by this, because does this mean Lexis King is a heel? Because the way he did it very like purposely. So are they going to tell the story that this was all an act? Or are they going to continue the story of him, quote unquote, being a babyface and that he accidentally did? I don't know where this is going. This is like the fourth time that they had a match for the the Heritage Cup. And I don't get me wrong, the matches have all been good, but how many more times are we going to have this match? I'm just going to be honest. Like, the matches are good. They're great. But how many more times are we going to keep pushing this Heritage Cup match between these two? Like, come on. Like, the story needs to wrap up. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I like the story, but how many more matches are we going to really have with these two? Like, I'm just saying. After this, though, we end up getting Carmen Petrovich versus Jada Parker. This match ended up getting set it up earlier in the match with Kalani and Jada ended up getting into an altercation with I think, yeah, Jada Parker ended up saying some words to Kalani. Kalani being this new character, not tolerating it, but she ends up getting shoved away by Soruka and Zarya. Then this led to Carmen interjecting herself into it. They go back and forth because Jada ends up mentioning Shantae. Carmen doesn't like that. This leads to the match. Towards the end of the match, Kalani Jordan ends up interfering in the match, costing Jada Parker the victory. I actually like this. This makes perfect sense. I actually am interested in this feud. I love the character that they're playing of Kalani being this woman who is sticking up for herself, not tolerating no BS, who wants to fight her own battles, who doesn't want help from others. I like this. I like this. I actually enjoy it. This is why I've been wanting for Kalani Jordan, because my biggest issue with Kalani was that she was just a boring baby face with no character. Now she actually has depth. She has reasoning. She has a story, which I actually enjoy. So hopefully they continue. I'm interested to see how they play that story out. I'm assuming that if they do a multiple match series, that Kalani will win just based off the history of how much Shawn Michaels loved Kalani Jordan. I'm assuming, but who knows? But I actually am excited for that feud. Then we end up getting the family. Okay, we end up getting the family. Actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna speak about this. Yeah, the more I thought about it, I was gonna mention the tag match between the family and Brooks. Yeah, the more I thought about it, who cares? I'm not gonna. Yeah, actually, I'm not gonna tell who won the match. You could. Yeah, yeah. I don't care. The main event: Eddie Thorpe versus Obafemi. Obafemi wins. I don't really need to go that in depth on this match. Obafemi wins this match. But after the match is what matters. Trick Williams comes out, basically ends up having a stare down with Eddie with Obafemi. Eddie Thorpe tries to attack Trick Williams, but Trick Williams ends up hitting a trick shot. I'm assuming that this time they're gonna have a one-on-one match, and they're showcasing Trick Williams being this more, I can't really describe it. Basically, because he ended up showing a different type of character than Trick. He's more serious, I'll say. They showcase a more serious and more aggressive version of Trick Williams on this episode, with him not being this super nice babyface. No, they showed a different version of Trick Williams. So I'm assuming this is the more serious version of Trick Williams, that he's more prepared and more ready to face Oba. And this time it's going to be a one-on-one match, which I'm not going to say I'm excited for, but it's really the only option they really have, because like I've been saying, that the same issues that people had with Trick Williams' title run, you're going to have with Obafemi, because there's no one else to face Obafemi. Like, so this is the only option they really have. Overall, this show is incredibly mid. I'm just going to be honest. There was parts I liked, but overall, this show is very mid. They really wanted to prepare us for next week's show. That's the show they really stacked. They got a ton of great main story matches on that show, so that's the story, that's the main show that's really going to be interesting. Overall, this show is very mid, but you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.